morning, Covington County. Welcome to Good News Covington County with Brother John. I've got my usual group of minions, companions, troublemakers, and that group. I've got Cousin Tom, and I've got Cousin Jared, and I don't know what we're going to call Daniel over here. I guess he's my son. If we can keep him awake for a little while, don't snore, Daniel. That couch is dangerous. It's been known to take a good man down. Welcome, welcome. It's Thursday, May 10th, 2018, here in beautiful, scenic Andalusia, Alabama. Big news, lots of news. Going to have a great show today. Start out with our first story, and it's one that saddens me. Yesterday evening, there was a fire on Through Street. Now, that's off of Sanford Road, and it runs approximately from, there on Sanford Road by the old cold storage. Down that road on the right, you turn at the old Stokies. Down that road, on the right-hand side of the road was an old, large building. It originally started its life as a National Guard armory for the Horse Cavalry when Andalusia had a Horse Cavalry unit in it. Over the years, it served many different purposes. My father and his brother were both in that National Guard unit before it was activated in World War II. The property across from that at one time was the old Covington County Fairgrounds, and during World War II served as a property for a prisoner of war camp. The property was later converted into the Southern Craftsman Furniture Company, which was owned by the Banks brothers. And they made fine, high-end furnishings and church furnishings, pews, altars, things like that, as well as some great antique reproduction furniture. Some of the furniture they used was the reproduction furniture was even used in movies in Hollywood during the 50s. Later on, Southern Craftsman fell upon hard times, and it was bought out. The property was bought out by my Uncle Jack, who for a while ran a small shop in it with Eddie Sturgis, and they built cabinets, and Jack rebuilt milling machines, column lathes, large table saws, those kind of things. Some of them so big that they weighed 5 to 8 tons. The floors and the architecture in the building were something else. You just can't find the wood that building. You can't find wood that's like the building that anymore. Later, it became plumbing and supply, and then after that, my good friends, I'll say this and I mean this, Sue Bass and Trip Bass and Bass Realty group bought the property and property on both sides of the road, in fact, and turned it into a group of mini storage buildings, which they still lease out. The fire, we don't know the cause of it yet, but it was very extensive. I hope we'll be able to bring some footage of what it looks like. It just broke my heart, folks. That's a fixture. I love that old building. We've got great memories that go with it. And we've lost a very, very special place in Andalusia. Some of the pictures I took have the actual old fire extinguisher apparatus still in it. The building was originally designed with a fire extinguisher in the roof, and the fire department could come up to a plug on the outside of it and hook up to that and activate the sprinklers inside of the building if the sprinkler system itself did not work. Unfortunately, the fire was too involved yesterday by the time anybody got there. None of the outlying storage buildings were damaged, but it's just a sad, sad thing. In other news from OP won't renew the 3 contracts at the Board of Education. The Op City Board of Education voted not to renew contracts of 3 non-tenured employees, including an assistant principal, on Wednesday. The decisions were made in a specially called meeting Wednesday. More than a dozen students and fellow faculty members attended the meeting to witness the vote. During the meeting, the board went into an executive session to discuss good name and character of the employees before considering the personnel report. The executive session lasted approximately 10 minutes, and the council reconvened and approved the recommendations from the superintendent. And these are the recommendations. The board did not renew the contract of Lisa Newswanger, the secretary of elementary schools, did not renew the contract of Ernest Steele, teacher at middle school, and did not renew the contract of Amanda Inabinet, the assistant principal of High School. They also accepted the resignations of Landra Matthews and Caton Anderson, who were special education aides at Elementary School. We'll bring more news to you in just a minute. Right now, we're going to stop for some breaks. Welcome back to Good News in Covington County on the 10th of May, Thursday, a wonderful day in the neighborhood. I'm Brother John, got the rest of the crew up here. We're going to bring you some news today. I don't know if you were aware of it or not, but in the last presidential administration, they struck a deal with the Iranian government in which the Iranian government promised that they would be nice guys and they would no longer make fissionable nuclear materials. And in return for that, we gave them a bunch of money, some of it in cash, that we probably owed them anyway. But that's not the point. President Trump, when he ran for office, decided that that was a bad treaty for the United States. And I'm not taking a side on this one way or the other. But there was an article in the Andalusia Star News about that, and the Republican report in the Congress to support President Trump on his Iranian decision. And I'm going to read the article. President Donald Trump announced Tuesday the United States would officially withdraw from the Iran nuclear deal, calling the agreement a horrible one-sided deal that should have never, ever been made. Members of Alabama's congressional delegation largely supported the move. Senator Richard Shelby, Republican Alabama, said, "I was vehemently opposed to the Iran nuclear deal from the start. It was a terrible idea for the United States and our allies then, and time has not improved it." U.S. Representative Martha Roby, also a Republican from Alabama, released the following statement. "I have said from the very beginning that the Iran deal was flawed, a weak deal that served the interests of bad actors in Iran at the expense of our own. I strongly oppose this Obama-era executive agreement, and I support the Trump administration's effort to ensure that we truly end Iran's nuclear weapons program. Moving forward, Congress must stand locked arm in arm in our approach to deal with this rogue nation for the sake of our national security. I believe it is imperative that we reinstate the economic sanctions against Iran that were in place prior to this nuclear agreement. It is no secret that Iran has not stopped its efforts to obtain a nuclear weapon, and we must take this threat very seriously in our future negotiations with the leading state sponsor of terrorism." Congressman Bradley Byrne, Republican of Alabama, a member of the House Armed Services Committee, said, "President Obama's decision to enter into a nuclear deal with Iran was the biggest U.S. foreign policy mistake since the end of World War I, and has not made America or the world a safer place. President Trump is right to exit the deal and hold Iran accountable for their reckless and dangerous actions. It is important to remember that there has been bipartisan opposition in Congress to the Iran deal since it was first announced. Despite a majority in the House and Senate expressing opposition to the deal, President Obama chose to act alone without congressional approval, and that is one of many reasons why this deal was never going to work. The Iranian agreement struck in 2015 by the United States, other powers, and Iran lifted most United States and international sanctions against the country. In return, Iran agreed to restrictions on its nuclear program, making it impossible to produce a bomb along with rigorous inspections. Trump in the 2015 agreement, Trump said the 2015 agreement, which included Britain, France, and Germany said that it was one-sided, a horrible one-sided deal that should never have been made. Former President Barack Obama called Trump's decision a serious mistake, and Hillary Clinton said it makes America less safe and less trusted. That's mighty interesting. You know what they say, it's like haircuts, opinions vary. Folks, if you're in the market for good tires, or if you need dependable first-class alignment or chassis service for your car, go contact Todd, Greg, or Jimbo Caton at Andalusia Tire Company. It's on the Western Bypass, and Andalusia Tire can provide you with complete tire service for your automobile, your pickup truck, or even your tractor or trailer. Top quality at competitive prices. That's Andalusia Tire, and those guys will actually listen to what you have to say. I'd also like to mention that on the 26th of May, there's an event coming up at Pensacola College at the Milton campus. It's a bluegrass festival. It's from 4:30 until 8 p.m. on Saturday, May 26th. And they're going to be some of the bluegrass bands that we've had on here. Copperline Bluegrass and 10 Mile Branch will be down there, along with a lot of other bluegrass talent. And I think you'll enjoy it. Those bluegrass festivals are just an awful lot of fun. We thank you for watching this segment. We'll be back in just a few minutes with more. Welcome back to Good News Covington County. I'm Brother John, and I have got some good news. It starts out about welcome back is what I did call the title, and it's something that we kind of wrote on our own here. I guess there's some benefits to being an insomniac, not being able to sleep. This morning when I was working on our edits for today's program, I was privileged to see the arrival of 3 Americans back from their imprisonment in North Korea. 3 Americans arrived back home after North Korea about 2 o'clock this morning. 3 Americans that had been previously imprisoned for months and even years were released from their cells in North Korea and transported back to the United States on a special airplane equipped to assess their medical needs and provide special medical care should the former prisoners need it. The Secretary of State, Mike Pompeo, arrived at Joint Base Andrews outside of Washington about 1:41 a.m., where he was greeted by President Donald Trump and Vice President Pence and the First and Second Lady of the United States, and they were dressed to the nines. Minutes later, the released prisoners arrived in a second airplane, and they were greeted personally as President Trump and Vice President Pence went aboard the plane and greeted them, and then brought them out to the rest of the viewing world. These events occurred so quickly that none of the prisoners' families could even be summoned to meet them at Joint Base Andrews. The former prisoners were examined for medical problems in flight, and they will be debriefed about their experiences in North Korea while they were prisoners. At this time, the prisoners have not yet released any official statements. The former prisoners were taken to the Walter Reed Hospital for further observation and reuniting with their families. These events may signal a quickly approaching summit between North Korean dictator and President Trump in June, probably to be held in Singapore. I think what a stark contrast this is to the homecoming for the young comatose Otto Warmbier that came out of Korea last, I think it was about a year ago, maybe a little more than a year ago. He was still comatose when he came out, never regained consciousness, and died. Was sentenced to prison and hard labor for what a young man would do, which was steal a poster, a communist propaganda poster. Also in the Star News is a great article by Christopher Smith. It's a part of the Teacher Appreciation Series. This is the third in a series of stories about teachers in honor of the Teacher Appreciation Week, which this is. Andalusia Elementary School 4th grade teacher Greeley Weeks has some advice for college students struggling in their last semester, and it is to hang in there. All the lesson plans and early morning alarms will be worth it, Weeks said. You think that you're becoming a teacher to teach children and change their lives, but ultimately they'll be the ones teaching you and forever changing your life. Teaching will be one of the best decisions you will ever make, says Weeks. This is Weeks' first year teaching out of college. She graduated from Troy University and got a job straight out of college at Andalusia Elementary School. She says she's always enjoyed school as a teacher and feels blessed that she can do the job now. Her students, she says, are the main reason why she shows up at work every day, and she does their best to brighten their day and make it enjoyable for her and them. She says, also being a first-year teacher, it took me a while to develop a reasonable expectation for my fourth graders, but now I'm much more relaxed in my classroom, but that does not mean I don't have high expectations. Over the year, I was able to better understand their minds and their activities. And Andalusia Elementary School is a leader in the Me School. Leader is a leader in Me School. And that's a program developed by the Covey Institute, and the Covey family developed the 7 habits of successful people. And they now have a model for elementary schools called the Leader in Me. So each school in the Andalusia elementary system is using that. They're teaching the 7 habits of becoming a highly effective person and reiterate those habits throughout the year. AES principal Elaine Brunson said that Weeks cares about her students. She also says that she's a great example to the students. Weeks is a member of the Andalusia Junior Women's League, and she's also was part of the LBW Community College Ensemble, where she met her husband, Taylor Weeks. The two got married in December of last year. Now, I want to talk to you for just a second here about a friend of ours in Opp, Alabama. And that's Jamie Bauer over at Bauer Napa Auto Parts in Opp. For the finest quality automotive and heavy-duty parts, check with Jamie, Jackie, and the crew at Bauer's Auto Parts, your Napa Auto Parts store in Opp, Alabama. You won't be able to beat the quality of their parts. In fact, many times they can give you the same part that comes from the dealer, and they'll have the same guarantee. And you can't match the service and expertise of the Bauer Auto Parts team. They're located at 304 East Cummins Avenue in Opp, Alabama. Bauer's Auto Parts is also your resource for hydraulic hoses and fittings, things like that. If you need them, just give them a call. Ask for Jackie or Jamie at 334-493-4017, 334-493-4017 for the best parts advice in Opp. Folks, we're going to take a break. We'll be back shortly. Welcome back to more Good News Covington County with Brother John here. There's a great article by Christopher Smith in today's Andalusia Star News about nurses and educators are needed in the state. This is, as we mentioned earlier, National Nurses Week, and it's been set aside to recognize nurses for their work. If the nurses feel appreciated this week, they should expect to be more appreciated in the future. That's because we're in what is considered a nursing shortage right now, and it's expected to grow, at least in part because there's a shortage of nursing instructors. According to the American Association of Colleges of Nurses, the U.S. nursing schools turned away more than 64,000 qualified applicants to nursing programs in 2016 because there were an insufficient number of faculty and clinical sites and classroom spaces. It is a shortage of which LBW Community College is aware. April Wise, the chair of the LBW Nursing Division, said, "The number of faculty at nursing schools is definitely declining. I think it is harder and harder to get qualified teachers nowadays." In fact, Johnson & Johnson, you remember the people with the Red Cross on the outside of the gauze packages and Band-Aids, recently did a public service campaign on nursing and the future of nursing in an effort to use TV commercials, videos, websites, and brochures to tout the benefits of this career. And a public-private partnership and incentives have been established to encourage nurses to become nurse educators. One area that we don't have a problem with is in enrollment, said Wise. We're at full capacity with people on the wait list. Wise said that even more, that with the nurse shortage, LBW does not think they'll have a problem finding teachers for their students. We will find qualified faculty to take their positions. The United States Registered Nurse Workforce Report Card and Shortage Forecast, first published by the American College of Medical Quality in 2011, projected that by 2030, it's only about 12 years away from now, Alabama would have a shortage of 8,212 nurses. That's just in Alabama. In population-dense Florida, our neighbor, the number was projected at a shortage of 128,364. Remember this, folks. In America, we're growing older. They're not growing more of us. We're just growing older, and that's working in the favor of nursing. Mizell Memorial Hospital just had 2 nurses retire, but they were able to rehire 2 more that are still in the training level. Sherry Jenks, who at Mizell, said, "We have several openings for nurses. We go to different schools and make sure to recruit by offering different packages and programs." Jenks said there are definitely higher need for nurses right now. Honestly, I think that this is a great place to work because the nurses stay here a long time. Jenks said some retire with 25 years under the belt and have been here their entire time. The Alabama Department of Labor and the Labor Market Information Division reported in April that 1,781 help wanted ads for registered nurses were registered in the state of Alabama alone, a number that has almost been unchanged through the rest of this year. The average hourly wage for a nurse in Alabama, not in Alabama, the average hourly wage for a nurse nationwide is $28.14. That's a lot more than I'm making here. Also in nursing news, this is an article by Michelle Gerlach in the Andalusia Star News. It's about Comfort Care Hospice and what they did to treat local nurses in there to show them their appreciation for what they do. They created an event called A Day at the Beach. Mitzi Butler and Vicki Waycaster, who are very, very big cogs in the wheel at Comfort Care Hospice, said they wanted to show the nurses how much they appreciated them. And since they couldn't take them all to the beach and still take care of their patients, they brought the beach to their office. The pair set up beach umbrellas and chairs and spread a little sand on the conference room table and provided seafood for lunch. After lunch, they had an opportunity to win the decorations for their own days at the beach. Gina Hicks, Amanda Harrelson, Lakin Smith, Karen Doolin, Johnny Hatton, Liz McCaskill, Beverly Baker, Sarah Anderson, Kim Ray, and Jenny Lee were among those nurses treated by Comfort Care Hospice. We'll be back in just a minute after these messages. Welcome back to Good News Covington County. This is our last segment for the day, and I'm so glad that you've been with us all through the broadcast. Today's weather, sports, and the Buzzard Report are being brought to you by the Outfitters at Fletcher's Outdoors, located at the intersection of U.S. Highway 29 and Brooklyn Road in Andalusia. For your complete hunting and fishing needs, visit the Outfitters in the Big Outdoor Store. If they don't have it, they can get it. From guns to fishing line, from shells to fish hooks. Fletcher's has it, and most of the time it's in stock. While you're there, and I mean this, the biscuits are great, check out the food next door at the restaurant. It's out of this world. Now, part of the sports news is a great article by Josh Dutton, who's a young guy that writes for the Andalusia Star News as a sports editor. Superb sports photographer and a good little writer too. This article is entitled "Bulldogs Want a Ring," and it's Andalusia's title journey continues against Bibb County. Now, Bibb County is where Centerville is, and if you know Dr. Steve Hubbard at LBW, or even Walt Merrill at the state's attorney's office, you know people from Centerville up in Bibb County. They're they're good folks, but they're very competitive with us on a lot of bases. Making it to the semifinals has been a growing trend for the Andalusia High School boys teams. But the Bulldog baseball team, which has a 26-4 record, hopes to break the trend of falling down in the semifinals as they travel to Centerville today to take on Bibb County, who is 25-11 in the fourth round of the Class A state playoffs. This is another appearance in the fourth round for Andalusia High School boys athletics. Head coach Tyler Dent said, "We have 3 seniors that went to the fourth round 2 years ago in football and again this year in football." Then you have Ethan Wilson, who's is just such a special player, and he's gone to the fourth round in baseball, football, and basketball this year. Dent said that the team isn't satisfied with just making it to the round four of the playoffs. In the fourth round of the playoffs, Dent says that every team is going to be top-notch and that Bibb County will be no different. They're a very good team and their coach does a great job, Dent said. They have played some very quality opponents during the playoffs. They have 3 arms that can command the strike zone, and they can't have any easy outs in the lineup. They have a good center fielder. He's a hard-throwing lefty that swings the bat well, and he will be somebody that we will have to keep their eye on. And you can guarantee you that the major leagues and college scouts are looking at him as well. Andalusia and Bibb County will begin play today at 5 p.m. in Centerville. Game 2 is scheduled for 7 p.m. and if necessary, Game 3 will be played at noon on Friday. I hope the Bulldogs manage to sweep the first 2 games and get a day off. The Class 4A State Championship will begin on Tuesday, May 15th at Patterson Field in Montgomery. Big deals. Now, coming to you from high atop the scenic Covington County Courthouse, located at number 1 Court Square and reported by your fearless WKNI news reader, we have today's buzzard report. Folks, big day for buzzards, 14 of them at the courthouse. Can't tell you how many loggers. Now, for the Bassmasters.com Solander tables, and they'll tell us when to go fishing and when to stay home, when to wet that worm and when to just keep the hooks on the pole. The Solander tables from Bassmasters.com show that fishing will be fair this Thursday and Friday and good on Saturday. The best fishing times are Thursday from 8:27 a.m. to 10:13 a.m. These are daytime fishing times. Friday from 9:05 a.m. to 11:07 a.m. and Saturday from 9:44 a.m. to 12:02 p.m. The general weather is as follows. Thursday, it'll be sunny with a high near 93. And I tell you, I've been outside and there's no doubt about that. We'll have a calm wind coming out of the west around 5 miles per hour in the morning. Tonight, it'll be mostly clear with a low around 60 degrees. Southwest wind around 5 miles an hour, becoming calm in the evening. On Friday, we'll have a high near 94 with a calm wind becoming south around 5 miles an hour in the afternoon. And Friday night, it'll be mostly clear with a low around 63. We'll have a south wind about 5 miles an hour, becoming calm in the evening. So we should have a pretty good evening on Friday. Be much more the same on Saturday and Sunday. I believe we may have a 20% chance of rain on Saturday afternoon. Folks, we appreciate you watching with us today. Thank you for the time that you spend with us. Please go to Facebook and to YouTube and look at WKNI and tell Facebook that you like us and let the people at YouTube know that you're watching us. It helps us build our business model, and if we can get that done, we'll be able to buy more equipment and do things that'll make our broadcast better for you. We might even be able to hire somebody besides me to talk to you. That ought to be worth something. Anyway, we thank you for watching today and ask you to remember 2 things. Be kind to one another and shop local. See you tomorrow.